Well, hello, everybody. So, welcome. This is a kickoff episode of what we've called Build It Through Culture Live. So, I'm here with Steph Bellafato, and we're going to be talking about culture here. And it's culture involving business, it's involving teams, it's involving networking. And, I just want to thank everybody that's going to be coming on here. We're hoping to have a good turnout, and we want engagement. So, if you're coming on, post comments, post questions if you have them. I want this to be highly interactive. Steph and I, when we get together and we talk about things culture, we could go on for hours because there's so many things we can touch on that really we can dive into to see, what is culture? How do you dissect it? How do you bottle it? And how do you pour it out whenever you need to? So I'm just going to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob Genovese. I own Unleash My Beast brand. I'm a brand builder. I'm also a member of Master Networks, where I am an area director. I am a regional advisor on culture, and nationally, I'm part of the National Culture and Retention Team under regional partner Tina Campbell. And I'm going to let Steph introduce herself so you know who she is.
Hi, everyone. Stephanie Bellafato. I proudly serve as the president of the Carmel chapter of Master Networks. And I, too, am on the national and regional leadership team with the beautiful Miss Tina Campbell, our regional partner, and Rob Genovese. I represent a remediation company called ServPro. And we take care of all kinds of disasters. But we're here to talk tonight about culture, and Rob and I both have an amazing passion for culture. So please let us know that you're here. Comment. If you have any questions, please share them. We'd love to hear from all of you.
Or if you disagree with us and you say you're full of it, call
Let
us
us
on
know
it.
that too.
Let us know that too, because I love hearing the other side of things, right? Because we're not right on everything. We believe we are sometimes, but the question about this, we were talking about this earlier, how this came about. This is, like I said, it's our first episode of this. This is going to be a regular thing. We're going to be following up with episodes talking about the different areas of culture. We're going to be getting into things like core values. We're going to be getting into what those core values are, how you use core values, your behaviors, all the things that people think, culture is this kind of woo-woo thing that you can't really get a handle on. Well, we've been talking about this for so long, and we are, as part of the culture and retention team, and as part of the regional team here in New York and Connecticut, we talk every week about this stuff. And so one day we were talking. It was just, I think, about 2 weeks ago, right? About two
Yeah, it
weeks
was a
ago.
couple of weeks ago we
Yeah,
were talking.
we were just talking, and what we're doing is we're coming up with initiatives. We're isolating parts of culture, and we're going, well, how do we make an initiative out of this? How do we teach on this? How do we get people to understand it? And I think, Steph, you said at one point, you're like, if people could just hear us talking, they'd probably learn a lot, because we talk about, so we get down in the weeds on culture. And if they could just hear us talking, they probably get a lot out of it. And it was like, bing.
I said, let's do a live. Let's try this and do a live. Maybe then, if people heard the way we talk, then they would catch on. Look at all these amazing people hopping on.
Yeah.
Mr. Larry Blackman. Hello,
Aaron,
Karen,
Larry,
Janet, Ellen,
Tammy,
Renee. Hello, Renee. Tammy,
Rod,
Luann, Mike,
Rachel.
Rachel,
And talk about
Gary.
culture. What's funny is the first people on are people that probably exemplify culture the most. And it's no shade on anybody who comes along later, because we love you all. But I know, looking at these people who we know, like, they are culture drenched people.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
ooze it.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming, and I'm definitely
Jeff. Hi,
keep the
Jeff.
comments coming.
Yeah, keep them coming.
And one thing we love, and this was part of one of the things we were talking about, was banter, right? We're in these Zoom rooms now with networking, and we're in Zoom rooms for business. People are bringing their teams on Zoom, and meetings are boring. So I love the chat, because people can banter with one another and comment on what's being said. So feel free to do that. Talk to one another. We don't mind, because that's part of culture.
Yeah, we want the banter, right? The more we want people talking. That's what this is all about, is getting people talking together and getting them to know each other. Hey, Deb,
Look at
AC. Hello,
C stands for
Jeff.
culture. Deb Papa. Hey, Deb. Barry. Hey, guys.
Awesome.
So good to have you guys here. And so that was the idea. So we thought, let's do this live. And honestly, the funny thing is, it didn't really take a lot of prep, right? We were just like, well, we're just going to talk.
Right.
So
Right.
you're
We
going
just
to,
said we're going to make this like one of our culture meetings that you and I just have on a regular basis, right? Like
yeah,
we do this all the time, you and I. And you and I are so passionate about the culture piece and the importance of how you make someone feel,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like Tina will say, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Exactly. Exactly. I thought about that when she used to say that early on. I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I just kind of said it silently, right? Because I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm like, I don't know if that's true. And then I looked at myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's true. It's true. Good and bad, right?
Right, right.
I'd see the bad stuff and I'd be like, uh-oh, time to fix that. But I think you said it, and we talked about this, but you've said this so many times. I never thought about it this way, but you're the one who caught my ear when you said culture is really it's how you make people feel.
Yeah,
And
because it starts there, right?
well, that's right. That's what it is. So when we talk about, if you're here and you're not a member of Master Networks, you're going to hear about Master Networks because that's how Steph and I met, and that's how a lot of our people here met. But this is going to be culture that you can apply to business, to your own meetings, to your employees,
To your
your
life,
your teams, your life, yeah, your family. Even I heard
right?
Renee Pride say that. Apply culture to your family.
Yeah, because it all starts with friendship. It all starts with that relationship, right?
Right.
Building that relationship.
And she teased it up beautifully because you know the culture that we are going to I guess the foundation or the format we're going to drive through this live program is going to be based in the first thing you got to look at when you're building culture. And I think this is why people don't really understand how you can create a culture that is so attractive. And most people want it. And as Tina always says, you know, everybody has a culture. Every organization has a culture, but is it the one you want?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So how do you intentionally
Does
do
it
it?
align with who you are, right?
And that brings us to core values,
That's right.
right? So core values, and um, well, a lot of businesses have values, right? They have their values posted on a wall that they probably never look at, right? They have it framed for other people.
Yeah, so they can all see what your basic core values are. But
Yeah.
are you practicing
Yeah, and that's part of it too.
them?
So values aren't something nice on the wall, right? So I put 5 core values here, and we're going to go off of the Master Network's 5 core values, which I've adopted because they happen to be really, really good ones and a good guide for if you're going to build a culture. It's a really good set of values to look at. And the first one is relationships. The second one, improvement, contribution, accountability,
Accountability,
and
results.
results. But that first one, right? You already said it.
That's the
Those
key
two.
to it all, right? That's the key. I think that's the key to everything in life,
Yeah. Well,
right?
and people know that, right? But they
Well,
don't.
they say they know it, and they may know it, but are they practicing it, right?
Right. Right. Well, that is part of the whole idea of you and I getting together. Thanks to Tina who put us together. For those of you who don't know, Tina Campbell, regional partner of New York and Connecticut in Master Networks, just phenomenal, leader, has taught me and mentored me on networking and how to really treat people because it's something I had to learn. I wasn't born the way I was like this, having to be able to talk about culture, building networks, building teams, building business, and I infuse that culture in my business as well, as I know you do, Steph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's why
call,
you're a natural for this.
we call Tina the queen of culture, right? And
Yeah.
she's mentored and taught many of us. So I have the utmost respect and gratitude for all that she's given to everyone across this region, right?
Absolutely.
She's so
Absolutely.
giving to everyone. And she's just, if you don't know her, you need to know her.
Yeah. And what I like what Karen says here, you don't have to prep for things you do naturally. It comes naturally. She says, I guess she means for us both. Karen, I wish that was true for me. It didn't
Well,
come
here's
naturally.
the funny part,
I
right?
learned it.
When I first started in Master Networks, I had never done networking per se, like business networking
Right.
before. So originally, I thought it was like, pass your card out kind of thing, right? And I come to learn that that wasn't it at all. But I had been doing this my whole life, but I didn't know that it was quote unquote networking. I was always connecting people, right?
Yeah.
Um, it didn't matter what I was doing in my life, business wise, but I always would want to connect people who I thought would be like, would have great conversation with each other, right?
Yeah.
Like one friend with another friend. I'd say, like, oh, I have to get to have it. I have to have a get together here because you guys need to meet each other.
Right.
And
Yeah, and that whole thing too, and again, a lot of what I talk about here, and I never forget where I came from because I was so not like this, and I so didn't understand this many years ago, not just networking, but real relationships, deep relationships, caring a lot about people and what their needs are. Because I used to be very selfish. I was like, "What's in it for me?" That whole thing. So I did have to learn this. So my heart was in the right place. I just didn't really know how to get it to the place where I could amplify it through my behaviors, which is what we teach. And we're gonna teach these, by the way. So we are in future episodes. We're gonna go through these core values one time every live. So we're just gonna talk about relationships today. But be sure you're tuning into the future Build It Through Culture lives because we're going to touch on the other four as we go. And we're going to give you formulas. We're going to give you steps. We're going to give you things you can do to create an attractive culture. And by the way, if you own a company and you're thinking, what's the number one pain in the butt for an employer to do? What do they have to do? Hire employees,
yeah,
right? The very people you need are the biggest pains in the butt to attract, right? Because you have no idea if they're going to be good. You have no
you
idea
have
if
to
they're going to
create
last.
a great team, right? If you want everyone to excel in whatever field it is, it's going to be based on the culture that you create for them. Whether whether you're preparing them to succeed or fail, right? Because if you don't create that culture, then they're not going to get out of it what they're looking for, and you're not going to get out of them what you're looking to get out of them, right?
Yeah, and then what do you end up doing? I mean, if they're not of the culture, as we say, you're going to end up replacing them.
Right.
And every employer who has a staff knows that it's very expensive in time and money to replace people. So you don't want to do that. So you apply these things here that we're talking about, and it's going to enhance like everything we talked about. Your business, your networks, your teams, your family, all of them. And so the relationships part, I was starting to say that Tina told me early on. One of the things about what you talked about, so you always told me right from the beginning of when we met that you're always connecting people, and I'm like, how does that work? 'Cause so thick sometimes, Italian, thick-headed Italian. I'm like, how does that work? What does that mean? Putting people together. But Tina told me when I started building networking teams, she said, you want to get people talking as if like that was the goal. So what you said, you're connecting people. That goes for, getting people to do face to faces or introducing one person to another. But on a team, hey, have you talked to so and so about this because they had that need or, something like that. And they go, oh, really? And what you did was we have the bond method, right? So the B is
Yep.
build common ground. You just help them find common ground, which team is an expert at. And now they've got a relationship starting, right?
Right. Yeah, what's that common interest, right?
Right. Right.
I mean, what do you have? What do you share in common? What's your favorite sports team? Some of the simplest questions. Where'd you grow up? Tina always says, "Where'd you grow up?" Right? Some of those simplest questions can be, do you have kids? Right? Are you a grandparent? Like there are so many quick, easy questions that you can ask to create that bond, that common out. Hey,
There she is.
Tina.
You heard us talking about you, so you popped in. And, so demonstrate. So I learn a lot through watching more than listening. I'm not so much an auditory learner. But what I did do was, and, for those of you, just don't get the wrong idea. Tina Campbell taught me a lot. So I'm going to mention her a lot. I watched her. She didn't always like tell me what to do, but I
You
was watching.
observed, you
I
observed.
observed, right? So I would observe her in networking groups and I would watch her. But one of the things she demonstrated to me personally early on was I'm famous for telling this story when she met me. And she goes, I know you're this branding guy, but what is it you really want to do? And she made that happen. And she didn't even know me. So a couple months after I met her, she gave me this workshop to be able to do, which because I told her I wanted to speak and I wanted to train. So what did she do? She added value to me. And then what did I do? I was like, how can I help her get what she wants?
Yeah,
And
how do
then
you
Barry said it
repay
here.
that, right?
Right. Barry said it right here. Doing for others
Yep,
with no expectations of getting something back.
is the
So he
foundation. He's right.
Yeah.
Look, if you come at it with a servant mindset, right? Do things for people. Look, and I always say there's no selfless people in this world. I don't care who you are. Look, I was a caregiver to many of people, and I did that because I wanted to. I did that because I loved them. I did that because that was my way of showing my love and affection. I could help them in this way, right? And that gives me something. That makes me feel good. When we do things for others, you can't say you're so selfless. You get something out of that,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Right, right. So, selfishly, you get good feelings from helping somebody else, and when you get nothing in return except the good feelings.
And that's okay, right? Like I
Yeah.
love the good feelings that I get. Right?
I
So
gotta put this up here from Debbie Mann. It was a huge learning curve for me when I started with Master Networks. I feel terrible about my initial
me
face-to-faces.
too, Debbie. You're not the only one.
Join the club, right?
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's what we're all here for, right? Like, look, that's the beauty of master networks. We're learning and growing from each other. This is a judgment free zone. This is where we get to learn with each other so that when we're trying to have some kind of initial contact with a potential client or business or center of influence, right?
Mhm.
We can make the mistakes in our rooms with each other so that we don't make them when we're trying to accomplish that business, right?
Yeah. Somebody said to me one day, Master Networks, if you don't know, it's a great organization for networking, for meeting people. And a lot of people think business referral. So if you're not familiar with us and you're watching this either live or on replay, we're more of an organization of opportunity. Because we are relationship based. The referrals come as part of a byproduct of building the relationships. It's not at the forefront, right?
Right.
So Debbie, somebody said to me one time, like Master Networks is kind of like a training ground or a laboratory, which you experiment, you try things out. So Debbie, when you talk about learning curve, listen, I'm right there with you. When I got in Master Networks, I was the guy clutching a fistful of business cards, going to luncheons and passing them out, pitching
I
people.
did the same thing. I did the same thing. That's what I said before, right? We all look, when you don't know what you don't know, right? So
Yeah.
until you see the example of other people like Tina Campbell, who exemplifies an amazing example, uh, like Sammy Vecchiola, Sammy Sunshine, Gene Turman. You know, the list is endless. I could sit here and throw names out to you all day long, right?
Yeah.
The point is AC Williams. There you go. Yeah, listen, I had a face to face recently with Tina Melham. She's in the White Plains chapter to speak to just what AC just said. We were on the call for almost 2 hours, and I didn't talk business with her at all,
Yeah.
right? The point is, that is the last thing you talk about. The last thing, like, I want to get to know who you are as a person, because honestly, it's almost irrelevant what your product or service is. Because, like Tina says, unless you know, like, trust, and I add respect to that too, I'm not doing business with you. There
Yeah.
you go. No, like it. Look, she said it right there. Okay.
Like
Yes, Rob
predicting the
Lowenthal, the
future.
CBD girl. Yes, the CBD girl. So I had this amazing conversation with Tina, and she's like, there are certain people that, to me, when they enter a room, they like light up the whole room.
Yeah. those face to faces, once we did learn them, to your point, Debbie, it's a learning curve, but you do learn it if you focus on it. And if you do understand that giving is the way you get. Now, the funny thing is, you don't give so you can get, you
No,
give knowing that getting eventually comes. So, because some people enter it with the wrong mindset, like they're going
give from the heart
to,
because you want to.
you give from the heart to add value, like Barry said, expecting nothing in return ever, but you inevitably get it. And so I like what Renee put here. She's learned that it's impossible to give and not receive in some way,
That's
or in,
right.
in some way. So I learned that, you sow seeds, and, sometimes they come up and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they come up in places you didn't expect.
Yep.
So not always how we expect, yet it is a universal principle of life.
Yeah, and right there, like Renee and Tina will say this too. Like, listen, if you give to someone, you might not get back from that person,
Right.
but you might get back from somebody that person knows, right? There might be some connection there, right? And Chaz Wilson always says, you're one relationship away of changing the whole trajectory. It could be of your life, right?
Yeah.
You just don't know.
And absolutely. And so the beginning of the relationship is, number one, if we're talking about face to faces and the bond method of you finding that common ground, and you can go through the occupation exploration, the needs discovery, and the develop
Develop
opportunity.
opportunity. Yeah.
But really, sandwiched in there is that, how can I help you?
Yeah, what can I do?
Right.
What are you struggling with? What do you need right now? How can I
Hold it right there. Okay. I love what you just said, because that's a question that I ask people in face to face. Because so so we know that there's organizations that are referral based, right? They're
Oh
transactional.
yeah, we
So
know.
right, so what's their question when they do their face to faces? It's always
How many more referrals are you going to give me?
yeah, I know.
Right?
And
How
worst
many
case, yeah, they're gonna say that.
you've got to give me this many, right?
But if they're looking to help, it's always, what's your best referral source? Right?
Right.
Who do I know that's a lawyer or a chiropractor or a contract, right? Who's your best referral source so I can get you that transaction? But what you said is a question I have adopted after I understood this, which was, what do you need right now?
Yeah, because it might not be a referral, right?
Yeah.
It might not be a referral at all. It might be like, I need to brainstorm with someone that's going to listen to me.
Yeah.
That's going to have my back, right? You and I talk
Right.
about that all the time too.
Here's Sammy's famous question.
How can I
Always
best
saying,
support you?
how can I best support you?
Yep.
Which is that place of unselfishness that says, never mind about me, what do you need? Because again, you can't give without getting. So eventually, if you do that to enough people, or for enough people, I should say, right, eventually somebody's going to be like, you're going to get a referral out of nowhere, right? Oh, it just came out of left field, I don't know, somebody just called me up.
Yeah, but
No,
it's not really out of nowhere,
it's
right?
not. It's not.
But and I always think this way. Even if that doesn't happen, right? I believe in good karma. I
Yeah.
believe in putting good stuff out into the universe,
Right.
right?
So here's the master quote from the man himself, right?
There you go. One relationship. Hey, Chaz.
Thanks for coming, Chaz.
So glad you
One
came.
one relationship away.
Mary Ellen. Yeah.
We talk about relationships, and sometimes we minimize a relationship. But I want everybody to think for a second, right? Because my stories, I got in a very thin thread. And to Chaz's point, right? So here's this introverted guy who hates to leave his house, and I find myself across a bridge river, half hour away, on a September rainy, dark Monday night, and I don't like going out of the house when it's nice out.
Because of the guy that invited you, right?
No, I was going to a social media event because I wanted to meet the social media person. When
Oh,
I
and that's
got
where you
there,
met. Okay.
I almost turned back 2 times because I'm a little baby. I'm like, "Oh, it's raining. I better turn back. Oh, I think my car made a rattle. I better turn back because I want to go home where it's warm and dry." Right? But I went. I I went, and the guy at the door like the ticket taker or whatever, the greeter, whatever,
Right, right.
strikes up a conversation with me. We're instant friends. And Pasquale Palumbo, at the time was the president of the
Great
Mount
guy.
Pleasant chapter. He goes, "Hey, why don't you come?" No, he doesn't know me at all. I just met him. "Hey, why don't you come visit my networking group?" Now, I'm in the next county. I'm already part of a couple of networking groups, and the last thing I want is to join one more across the river, far away. Like, you know
Like
why I
Little
went?
Red Riding Hood. Did you feel like Little Red Riding
Right?
Hood?
Across
Across
the
the
river,
river
across
and
the
through
bridge,
the
far away.
woods.
So why do I go? I like the guy.
And he's a great guy. He's
He's
a
a great
he's a
guy.
Jeopardy champion, right?
He's a Jeopardy champion. So I show up 3 mornings later because I'm a man of my word. I didn't just blow him off. I wasn't just going to blow him off. And I show up and game over because I left the meeting. I went home. I joined. A month later, I meet Tina Campbell. Changed my life. One relationship away.
There you go.
Yeah. Chaz didn't know what he was saying when he said that, probably because this is changing the trajectory of my life in a very
Right,
good way, right?
right. It's so true. It's, this what Tina has done.
Hey, Corey.
Hey, Corey, for our region is, listen, and I want to go back to Rob, how you make people feel,
Yeah.
right? Because look, I was new to this whole networking thing when I came to Master Networks. I was a paralegal. I wasn't, I didn't have to go out and network with people. That, now I'm in this new role, and I love people, so I don't have a problem with networking, but how am I doing this? I don't know. And I walked into the Carmel chapter, and everyone was so warm and welcoming. I felt like I was like coming home, right? So, right then and there, I knew this was the place for me, right? Like these were the people. And what has come from that to me, for me, I have been blown away by, right? Because, actually, this past Tuesday was 2 years ago that I broke my back,
Wow.
right? And the day that I broke my back um, was pretty horrific. But um, once my chapter knew what happened to me, by the way, I only missed one meeting, and that was the night I was having surgery
Wow.
for breaking my back. And Tina videoed me into the following meeting because she was terrified because it was getting icy then, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want you to slip and fall. I don't want anything to happen to you." And I said, "Look, I just need to be with my tribe. I need to be with my people."
Yeah.
Like, the outpouring of love and support for me, and truly having my back, right? So
Figuratively and literally.
that's right.
Put you in
So
a car, right?
yeah, so like who was stopping at the hospital to check on me? And then when I came home from the hospital, who was stopping by my house to check on me? Michael Stevenson would drive almost 30 minutes out of his way beyond where we met, pick me up, drive me to the meeting, get my walker. Like I was like, this old woman now with this broken. I think I refused the walker and only used the cane because I was like, I am not going to be seen with a
Walker will
walker.
hurt your image.
Right, right.
I'll hobble.
But the the fact that people, who I knew for not, I mean, I have a lot of friends for years and years and years, and this network of people had only known me for roughly, I'd say, a year. And who was showing up? Like every day, somebody was stopping by, like, "Hey, just checking on you. What can I get you to eat?" Or, "What can I bring by?" And I'm like, "Nothing, just come hang out." Right. Like I just
Right.
wanted company because I was really limited. And, you know, it was, the doctors were like yelling at me. I'm like, "Listen, I'm going. I might not work, but I'm going to my meeting. Like, I know I can't be out on the road all day long. I'm not allowed to drive, but I'm going." Like, nothing's stopping me.
So you look at that for a second. look at all the instances where culture plays a part. So you get seriously hurt. You're not supposed to leave your house. But number one, you want to. So who wants to go to a meeting ever? Never mind with a broken back, right? Number two, Michael Stevenson drives out of his way to pick you up and bring you to a meeting. This is pre-COVID, right? To bring you to a meeting just so you can attend. Who
Yeah.
does that? We don't have family that does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have family.
This
Family
is
member,
my
I'm too busy.
chosen family, right? Like you can pick these people, right? Like,
Right.
and he did that. And he didn't do that for 1 week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. He did that for, I think, close to 8 weeks.
Wow.
So, he went out of his way to help me out because he knew I just wanted to be with my people. I wanted to hang out with
Right.
my crew.
So to Chaz's point here, what starts as a quote unquote networking
Networking
group,
group.
right, quickly turns to family if we live the culture. And we keep talking, oh, you should come visit my networking group because that's what people think outside. Like, oh, that's the frame of reference. It's a networking group. But it's not really. We kind of
No.
we package it that way, but then you come inside and one of the things you said about how you feel when you came in, how you felt when I came in. Now I was part of a couple of networking groups before Master Networks, and I was doing that because like I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know the difference.
Right.
So I wasn't going to join this one. But the thing is, I was not happy in those others. And the reason was because very few people wanted to meet with me. Very few people understood or sought to understand what I did for my business. And it just seemed like I was just showing up and they were like giving the obligatory hi and obligatory chit chat. And I was like, this doesn't feel good. I
Because
walk
they
in.
weren't really looking to get to know you,
No,
right? It was very
no.
surface.
Yeah, it was almost like they're thinking, oh, I hope this guy's got a referral for me today. And I'm thinking, oh
Right.
boy, again, another week I don't have a referral for this. But I walk into that Master Networks meeting of Pasquale's, and it was a chapter forming. It wasn't even like this big, like, woo, welcome. At that time, there were only like 8 people.
Right.
But I walked in there and 2 things hit me. Now I'm a learning-based guy. So they did that training tidbit. I'm like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was in my head, I was joining because of that. But after the meeting was over, and I got a good feeling throughout the meeting, of course, because we have great energy in the meetings. And the people are very, positive, optimistic people. But afterwards, they were saying things to me. Hey, Rob, I'm a brand new guy, right? Just visiting. Several people. Let's exchange information. Let's grab a cup of coffee. I want to hear
Yeah.
more about you and what you do. I'm like, what? You want to hear
Really?
more about me, what I
Right.
do? How does that make me feel?
Good.
It makes
Right.
me feel like going home and signing up right away, which is what I did.
Well, listen, here's the thing, right? And you hear me say this all the time. So during our meeting, when we have visitors, right? First of all, I'm always saying, make sure as people are coming in the room that you're like shouting them out and welcoming them and thanks for coming. And, you know, we're so happy that you're here with us. But at the end of the meeting, I'm always asking every visitor, what was your best takeaway from this meeting?
Yeah.
Right? What is it that and I have to tell you, because you and I have had these conversations, I always get, oh my God, the energy in the room is so amazing. And everyone really genuinely wants to help each other. Like really, and they like and they're very they really impress upon, no, like really. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, that's who we are, right? Like, yeah, we
Yeah.
really we really do want to help you.
And I think that throws people off. It's like, who are these people? They just sometimes you almost get bombarded by a lot of people, and a new person's like, oh, a lot of people reached out. To some people, that's a little weird. To some people, like, I love it, it's great. But that's the culture. And this I always equate this. I think Tina may have said this where I stole it from somebody because most of what I know I got from somebody else anyway. But it's kind of like, if you have a party at your house, and the doorbell rings to the front door and you go and answer it, what is it? You wouldn't open the door,
And not
right?
say
And not
anything.
say anything. You just turn and you walk away, right?
Yeah,
Like
nobody's doing that.
nobody's do so what do you do? What does a good host do? Everybody basically goes, "Hey, good to see you. Come on in." You
And
know,
I give him a big hug and kiss, right?
well,
Because
then you
I'm a
go
hugger.
overboard, right? You do what you should do, which is, "Hey, I heard this a long time ago. There was I don't know if it's a true story, but it's a good story of one of the most famous socialites who had the best parties around, and they always ask you, like, "How are your parties the best parties? Why does everybody want to go to yours?" And she says, "Because when you come to the door, I make it like I've been waiting all night for you to get there because I have. So you open the door, it's like, you're here finally. Come on in. Food is over here, drinks are over here. Hey, have you met Bob and Sue yet? Hey, you guys should talk because you have this." And right. And so you make that connection, you make them feel welcome, you make them feel appreciated.
Right.
And the end to your point, how we started was, how did you make them feel?
Yeah. Listen, I can share another story for those that don't know. So we had our first golf outing ever, right? This past
Oh
August.
man.
And Larry Blackman from the Addison North chapter, who comes and visits our chapters regularly, said, "Well, I want to come." And we were all like, "Really?" Barry's like, "You really want to come?" And I was like, "Are you really? Are you pulling my leg? Are you really?" No, he's like, "I really want to come."
Like you're gonna hop on a plane and fly up here
Right. And he was
in New
like, "Yeah,
York?
yeah, I'm going to come get on a plane and come up." And I was like, "All right, well, listen, if you're willing to hop on a plane and fly up here, don't get a hotel. I have an extra room. You're more than welcome to stay here." Right. Barry Dorfman says, "I got you, brother. I'll come get you at the airport." Right. And what a amazing 4 days 4 or 5 days that was. He came, him and Barry showed up at my house. The three of us had dinner. The next day, to no knowledge of Larry, I prepared a party here at the house, right? Where not everybody, because obviously I couldn't have everybody across the region.
I know you wanted to.
I would have loved to,
Yeah.
right? But a whole bunch of us got together, and then we had the golf outing, and then I had a party the next day, and then he was leaving the next. It was like, for those people that didn't get to see him the first day, or weren't able to attend the golf outing, they could stop by my house, and I was just throwing burgers and dogs on the grill. You're more than welcome to come on over, right?
Yeah. This is what Gene said. I mean, as soon as you mentioned the golf outing, anybody who was there probably got chills like I did,
Yeah.
because, being in the Zoom boxes for all of 2020, and meeting so many people and then seeing them in person for the first time after
Yeah.
getting to know them, right? It was like family
Christmas Day,
reunion.
it's like Christmas morning. It's like a little kid. That's what I kept saying. I felt like this little kid on Christmas morning, and I got the best gift ever, right? And we had what, 200 and more than 250 something, close to 280 people there.
Yeah, look at this. Golf outing was amazing. Golf outing. Oh, Larry's the man. Yes, he is. Golf outing was amazing. Next one. Ooh, the
Yes,
golf outing. Can't wait for next year.
so so
If you
so for
missed it
those
this
of
year,
you, right, for those of you that are on, they've already set the date. The next golf outing will be June 20th of 2022.
yeah, mark it on your calendar.
Yeah, see, Rob Lowenthal, there you go.
Not enough time.
There wasn't enough time to meet every single person there because there were so many of us there, right?
Most amazing event. Can't wait for golf outing. So, look, I mean, and it's, by the way, how many golfers were there? And then how many people who were not golfers showed up for dinner just to be with
Yep.
one another?
Yep.
And what did so Barry Dorfman, who put that together for us, right? He was talking with the club's manager, I believe. And what did the guy say?
Oh my God. And I'm
After it
still
was over?
waiting for that video because I told him to get a video with the guy because the guy was like, never in the whole time that he had been managing the golf course did he have such a fun event where people, they were the nicest. That right? I mean,
Yeah.
you go ahead and speak to it too. That's what I heard, and I was like, Barry, we need that on tape. I want evidence of that.
Here's Larry.
Yep. There's
Love
my
everybody.
brother from another mother.
So again, so what we're talking about here, everybody, is how are you making the other person feel? Right. And this is hard for a lot of people. And for me, especially in the beginning, some time ago, because again, we want to feel good ourselves. We want our own needs met. But the paradox is when you help enough, I think Zig Ziglar said it, when you help enough other people get what they want, you
You
automatically get what you
get
want.
what you want. Right.
And it's so true. And anybody who has regularly practiced adding value to other people, propping up other people, raising other people, going, enough about me. You go ahead. Here, let me introduce you to somebody. Let me get the opportunity for you.
Right.
You can't help it. It comes back, right? What goes around comes around.
Yeah. And we really are. And here's the thing, too, right? You'll see,
Look at this. I
you'll,
just have to interrupt
you
because
were,
this is a big one, right? So sometimes when people go to events, they overlook the staff,
yeah,
and not that they look down to them, but it's almost like they're invisible or they're here to serve me, and some people are actually a little disrespectful for them, but not in our group. So what
yeah,
Tina's saying, he said we were so nice to his staff,
right.
and the point was most people are not.
Yeah. And how sad is that?
Right? How
They're
did we
doing
make
a
them feel?
job too. We should be making them feel good. We
Yeah,
should be thanking them
yeah.
for all they do.
And I did, yeah, Chaz told me to respect the staff. Tina said, I learned that a long time ago too. And I appreciated that when I first saw that at Connect this year when I went down. We thanked the staff, and you know, I learned that, and because the people they're supporting what you're doing, they're critical and they're people. So if we make them feel good, how excited are they to serve us next year? They're like, oh, bring those people
Exactly.
back. They were awesome.
Yeah, they could come back anytime, right? I mean,
Right.
that's the key. Again, it always is going to go back to how you feel.
Oh, wait, here it
And
is. Wait, here's Barry gave us the quote from Garrett Hirsch, who is the I think he's
oh, there
the
he
events
goes.
manager at the
Yep,
golf club.
yep. He's the
Best golf
manager of the
outing
golf
he
club.
ever had there because of the people from Master Networks were the nicest to his staff, enthusiastic to be there, and the most fun to be around.
Woo woo, Barry. I hope you got that on tape, like I asked you on video. Just an FYI. I'm just reminding you, my friend.
Right. So again, this first core value of relationships, people are not getting this. Like relationships, yeah, we have coffee, we talk.
Yeah,
Tell
right,
you about my
right.
business, you tell me about yours.
And we talked
You
about
know,
the weather.
and I ask about your dog, and that's it.
Right.
It's not right. Here's the other thing. It's not once.
No, it's multiples, right? It's
Multiple.
look, you and I talked about earlier, there's hunters
Mm,
and there's farmers,
yeah.
right? The hunters are the once and done people, and the farmers are the ones planting seeds and seeing which ones are germinating to grow, right? And blooming, and or annuals versus perennials, right? you know, it's just important to care about what other people care about other than yourself.
Well, you know why? Because you know, farming takes time and patience, and the harvest comes later.
Right.
Hunters, right? If you're used to hunting, and the analogy, of course, is with networking. If you're looking for the transaction, there's something about hunters. Hunters have to hunt all the time.
Yep.
You have to get the next meal. You have to get the next transaction. It's the sales approach. And there's nothing wrong with sales per se, except you don't have to sell and then go sell and then go sell. If you're the farmer and you're planting seeds, lots of them, right?
Right.
You don't
You're
plant one
watering.
seed and go, I can't wait for this apple tree to come
Yeah,
up.
I'm gonna sit here and
Gonna
watch
say-
it grow.
Watch
Right.
that one seed. What if it's a bad seed?
Right. Right.
You can plant lots of them.
Yeah.
and then it comes up over here, but not over here. But you get a lot of them. And here's the best part: a lot of people don't think this way. I was trained years ago. How many seeds in an apple? How many do you think there are? 20? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Probably, maybe.
20 seeds. Cut open an apple next time, everybody, and count the seeds. Now, how many apples in a seed?
Right.
So you
Right.
plant one, when the one comes up and a tree grows,
And it's blooming
it's
all of
blooming.
these apples, right? It has all these flowers
Right.
that turn into all these apples. Oh, Larry's saying 6, Janet's saying 21.
Maybe we should have a prize for the most accurate. But it depends on the kind of apple, I
Yeah,
suppose.
that's I guess it does depend on the apple, but
Right.
the point is that, you know, building these relationships, this isn't something that happens overnight. This is something that happens over time, right?
Yeah.
And you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable and to let people into your world, right? Because they're not going to get to know you unless you can do that. And I'm not saying you have to pour out your soul, right? You know, there are some people that hold things really close to the vest.
Mhm.
And but I just think that the deepest relationships, you know, the more you get to know people and on a deeper level that you get to know them, the more you want to support them and help them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like, look, you and I didn't even know each other before the pandemic. And now I could say, like, you're one of my closest friends, right? We talk multiple times a week, you know, and you and I have these like amazing conversations all around culture
Right.
all
So,
the
I mean,
time.
you look at that too. So let's put business aside yet again, because look, anybody could go get sales and transactions and stuff, but that stuff, yeah, you need it to run the business, obviously. But
Well,
let's get
sure.
past this for a second and let's talk about that because yes, you and I met during COVID on Zoom, right? And we kind of clicked, and then you were already of the culture. You exemplified it, um, one of the best examples of the culture, kind of innately in the person that you are. And you and I, of course, we would start talking about it and then talking more and then talking more. And so we developed that relationship over time. And it had nothing to do with Serve Pro or Unleash My Beast brand or, is Steph's company going to hire me? Or am I going to give Steph business for Serve Pro? Like, never came up.
Right.
But the relationship that we built
Right.
has produced what? It produced us teaming up for the regional culture team, being asked to be part of Tina's national
National
culture and
culture
retention
team.
team.
Right.
It led to a lot of initiatives in the region, culture wise, that have enhanced the chapters and attracted members
Right.
based
We
on
want to
what you and I have
constant
implemented.
right. And we want to be giving people more and more opportunity, right? Because it's not at the end of the day, again, we can go back to it's not all about the referral. It's
So,
the
on that note, Steph,
go
I got to
ahead.
bring this up, right?
Okay.
How about
Yes.
Phil Ritigliano offering his kidney to
Yep.
Stephen Orfis's mother-in-law, who
Yeah.
didn't know,
Yep.
a stranger offering a stranger one of their organs.
But
Okay,
that goes to TGIF, my buddy Phil. That goes to the heart of that man, right?
and so, I mean, the ultimate in giving, I would suppose, right?
Is an organ,
Short
right?
of giving your life, let me give
Right.
you one of my
Is
organs.
an organ to someone you don't even know, right? Like if you want to talk about selfless, that's probably one of the most selfless acts you
Yeah.
can do for someone,
I mean, I
right?
like to think I give, but I don't know if I'm of the caliber of a Phil Ritigliano.
Of giving a kidney, right? Like
My kidney. But the giving part of that's an extreme story and a great story, and one that really hammers home the value of having each other's back, looking out for one another. But even on a simpler place where, we talk about adding value to many people's lives, I look at, like I was saying, between you and I, that came out of our conversation comes this. And now we've got a lot of people on here who are now enjoying this
look, there's
conversation,
Jean, right?
learning
I wouldn't have
something.
known Jean either. Tina kept telling Jean and I when we were meeting in person, and Tina knows this too. I tried to support as many chapters as I could, reach wise. If I could make it to visit a chapter, go to a mixer, visit another chapter, I did it. Jean was in Jersey, and her meetings are 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm all for driving to Jersey, and we Jean and I would tease, going, you don't have to slay dragons or anything to get over there, right?
Yeah.
And Jean and I are like sisters now.
Yeah. Tina did the same thing for me. When you talk about connecting people, so it was early on, and Tina's up in Westchester, so 40 minutes away from me. But she knew there's this Gene Turman person who she knew for years, but to me it was a stranger. And she was in New Jersey, like a stone's throw away from me, really, like 15 minutes away. And she said, "You really need to meet." And when Tina says that, I learned I
Pay
do really
attention.
need to meet that person, right?
Yeah.
So you need to meet Gene Turman. So I drove up to Gene's studio, and I don't know, we must have sat there for a couple of hours talking the first time and hit it off. And she understands branding, and I don't understand photography, but
Marketing and
but I
yeah,
understand what a little bit enough to be able to understand what she goes through, how she adds value, the fact that she's not just taking a picture, the fact that she's actually capturing the essence of people, which is not easy to do,
no,
not easy at
no.
all.
And
But
she's
she and
like
I
the
have that
headshot.
kind of thing where we're getting to
Right,
the core, right?
right. The headshot queen, I call her, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it's true. Like, guys, put in the comments what one person surprised you during this time, right? During this whole pandemic time that you had a face to face with that someone else. I would love to hear in the comments, like, who surprised you the most or what shocked you the most that you learned about somebody. That would be awesome. Maggie, the value of friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
it's and I am of the same mindset as Maggie, right? The friendships and the support that we all give to each other goes so beyond.
Where did I drive, Pasquale? 3 weeks after where did I go? Remind me. In the pouring rain. I went out in the rain again for you.
Yeah, well, he's a great guy, right?
He's, I you know that. You know
We
that
have
for sure.
mad respect for Pasquale.
Yeah.
So,
And so, we're gonna wrap this up in a few minutes because I don't want to keep people up. Because Steph and I could literally talk all night long.
yeah, we could.
We
All
don't
all
expect you guys
about
to stay.
culture. Yeah.
And here's the thing: I know our peeps are uber supportive, so they'll hang in there till the bitter end. I won't do that too. Oh, up to Fishkill.
Tina,
Yeah,
we
that's right.
are a movement. You're right.
Fishkill. I went up to Fishkill. I didn't know where Fishkill was. I'm like, oh yeah, it can't be that far. It's like over an hour away. I'm like, where the heck am I going? Yeah, it was dark. It was rainy. Yeah, we did that.
Say a reminder.
We are a movement, and we really are. And it sounds to a person who doesn't know that might be a little arrogant to say, but the fact is, because it runs so deep, because it really is the fabric of the relationships that we built, that this is a community.
Yeah, it
And
is.
Chaz had talked about it in a couple of talks I heard him do about how to create a movement. So, he started out, I don't know if he started out to create a movement, but he probably quickly saw that this is more than just right a networking group based on relationships, which it is, but it is so much more than that, as we've been talking about here. And what we're going to do is
Put up Nicole Cutler's comment because I think this goes to who we are in
this
here,
one.
right? Willie Tolbert. Willie's part of the Carmel chapter. He's the MC of the Carmel chapter. Love Mr. Willie Tolbert. I call him the sharp dressed man. He doesn't go anywhere without a bow tie on. I just love and adore him. But look at that, wanting to help me and my business, and he didn't even know her. And at the end, he was willing to drive far. He's in Jersey, people. He lives in Jersey,
And that's how far?
and Nicole Cutler's in New Paltz.
So how far is that? Hour and a half, hour and
Oh,
45, maybe
yeah,
two?
probably close to 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean,
So
think about that. And I did love this line, Nicole. He didn't even know me. That was my line. Like, Tina did this stuff for me. She didn't even know me.
trust transference, Tina calls it all the time, right?
But to be
So
able to do something for somebody who you don't even know, because what's at hand there. I don't know if I'm going to get anything returned from this person I don't even know, right? Because that's
But
what
it's not
people think.
about that. To me, it's not about that, right?
No.
And look, I think and Tina's a great judge of character. So you got to go with your gut. If you know someone's good to the core, you just want to help that person. And how can I best help you?
And so I bet if there's people watching this, and they're really not familiar with who we are, but you want to check us out, well, go to the website, check that out. If you know one of the persons, maybe they invited you to come on here and they're in Master Networks, you're going to want to reach out to them and find out, this is what we do in Master Networks. And, Steph, you do have to say the line. I know people are waiting
I know,
for
and
it.
I saw Sammy put it up, and I should have had my mug that Sammy had made for me. Because look, I say this all the time. We don't just do business together, we do life here together, people. So if you're looking for an amazing group of people that you can do life with and build your business and are community minded and learning based and are here to help and support you, you're in the right place. If you're looking just to pass referrals, go scroll to
Go to the other
another
place.
video. Go someplace else. We don't want you here. Right? That's
The
not,
funny thing is, right? Some of those people, they sneak in and they join
but
because
they
they don't
never
believe
last. They don't ever
it.
stay.
They never get anything because they're like, oh no, yeah, sure, yeah, I'm a relationship based, whatever. They don't hear, they don't believe me, and I'm like, look, I tell people flat out.
Me too.
Sometimes I'm a little blunt in a nice way, but I'm like, look, um, though, and I never tell them it's them, right? Because they can't hear that, but I make believe it's somebody else. I'm like, there's people who come in and they think we're just giving lip service to relationships. I said, but when those people come in and they realize it really does, you don't really ever get a single thing until you build a relationship with it, which is a long game. It can
Right.
take 6, 8, 12 months. I don't know how long it takes
It
to
could
build
take
a relationship.
longer.
It's longer.
And it's all going to be based on what you do too, right? Like certain things are easier to do business. You could do certain business with certain people, like you know whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
in my kind of business, you only need me when you need me, right?
right,
So it could take much longer than that to build that relationship, and that's okay.
right. So those people, I go, um, it, those people never succeed here. They never do, and then they quit after 8 months, a year, whatever. Right? I'm not getting any business.
Yeah,
I
well, what
don't
are
know
you
why.
doing?
I know why. Because look, it is. I'm going to say it here, right here. It's going to be recorded. We're live. I'm in front of people. It is impossible to not get any value out of this if you build relationships. It's impossible
Yep.
to get some kind of value. You have to get clients at some point. But again, clients is the least of what you should get because
There's so much
so much
opportunity.
opportunity.
People don't look at you can't just look at the referral piece. You got to look at all the moving parts, right? It's
Yeah.
it's like it's like a fine piece of machinery, and all the gears are working together
Yeah.
to
So
make
let's do
the
this.
engine run.
We have 2 minutes here. I don't want to keep people past the hour mark. We'll be respectful of their time, right? Start on time, end on time. That's what
Okay,
we
I
always do.
got you.
So parting thoughts, Steph.
Parting thoughts. Listen, spread love. I always say that at the end of my meeting, right? Be kind. It costs you nothing to be kind. Ask someone what you can do for them. Show up. And if you're a leader in another chapter, in a support the chapters in your region. That's what we do here. You'll go to one of our meetings and you might see 4 or 5 presidents on one meeting, right?
Yeah.
Because we
Right.
just support each other. Spread love, share love with each other. That's it.
And what we're going to do, yeah, and some people go, that sounds really woo woo. Yeah, try it. Right. But so we're talking about the core values here, and we did talk about relationships in this first one. And they're in the future episodes, we're going to be covering the other core values of Master Networks. There is, of course, again, there's the improvement, there's the contribution, there's accountability and results. And at some point, what we're going to do is there's a formula for
Yes.
creating culture, devised by the genius of Tina Campbell. I'm telling you, this thing, people think I'm overstating it. It is genius. This formula is genius because it allows you to create the culture you really want very simply. And we're gonna reveal that in a future episode of this. So we covered relationships today. I
Yep.
just want to say thank you to everybody that showed
Yeah.
up. I mean,
Thank you for
truly,
your support.
your support, your interest, for all you do for your businesses, your families, your chapters, the whole organization. If you're a leader in your chapter or in your region, we just appreciate you. And we're going to be doing this again in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right, Steph? So in
Yep.
2 weeks, we're going to be back here 7 o'clock through Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about the next core value, which will be improvement. So come back, bring somebody and take notes, bring questions. And again, banter in the comments because it's part of the fun.
And we love that,
We
right?
love that.
So you guys help make this better, right? If it was just Rob and I, having a conversation, it wouldn't be the same without all of you. So
Yeah.
thank you guys all for coming out tonight and supporting us. And just thank you and spread love. Give everybody a great big hug and kiss, those that you can.
Thank you all. Have a great night. We want to see you in 2 weeks. Take care.
Take care now.